Welcome back to BALLSEYE, guys. We're here with Jason Kinney, the president of NASA.
All science says it should
Fall apart.
It should fall apart.
And we're talking about aliens. It's like a clearish, like translucent, but it's reflective.
Cloaking device kind of thing.
We're talking about AI.
Most of the younger generation tend to use it much more for interactions that have to do with life. Almost like an advisor. Whereas people probably more my generation tend to use it much more like an assistant.
We're talking about my hair and how important that has been in the lives of so many people.
What you just said there?
Oh my gosh. Yes. And at the end of the video, we're going to show you a really cool tool to help you improve your life. Thanks for watching.
Word.
So you might notice that Alex looks a little weird today. That's because it's not Alex. It's actually Jason Kinney, who many in his household mistake him for the president of NASA.
It's true. That's true. My youngest, Leah, calls me the president of NASA.
How close are you to being the president of NASA?
Well, first of all, there's no such thing as the president of NASA. But if there was, let's say the president's here and some microbe on an exoplanet 11 million light years away is down here.
Okay.
Like right there.
Right above that.
Right above that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right where the intelligence begins.
But above where the intelligence begins.
But listen to.
Yeah.
So
you're pretty close.
Yeah, you could even say that.
Like 10,995 light years.
Let's just say that more money is spent on instruments finding the microbe on an exoplanet than me and my role. Nah, I'm kidding. Well, no, I'm not really kidding, but money well spent.
Money well spent.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I love my job. I really do. Yeah.
Which is?
So I, at NASA Langley, lead the organizational effectiveness. Thank you very much for the. Sorry, I forgot that I'm Alex, so I got to kind of lean in like this.
Yeah, it's true.
So like organizational development, effectiveness, coaching, leadership development. A better way to put it is I get to nerd out all the time working with leaders and teams and working on clarity and processes and culture and behaviors and
human
systems
progression. Human systems, that's a good way.
Human systems is the focus, and the future,
right?
And future.
Okay, very cool.
Which is exciting. It's always exciting.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I was thinking a good title of this video might be "The President of NASA Proves That Aliens Are Real."
Okay,
but we can't really deliver on that exactly.
Might be worth a shot. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
We could try.
Okay.
We could try. Remember, if the president is an imaginary role, we can definitely go wherever we want to. Definitely interested in exploring it.
Right. Exploring aliens or
space. Life under their planets, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about that. A lot of things being designed to go out and look and listen, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, there's some of the telescopes and instruments we have. I'm not like a well-versed scientist on it, but I'm a little bit of a nerd with it, so I like to research it and think about it.
Yeah, not on the technical side, but still admiring the work.
Yeah. I enjoy the technical side. I mean, that's actually what. Even growing up, I was always planets and solar system and stars and all that stuff.
That's cool. So you knew you would work at NASA one day.
I had no idea I would work at NASA. No idea. Wasn't even in the plans. My grandfather was at NASA.
Really?
During the Apollo program.
Wow.
And my brother is at NASA as well. He's in science.
And he's been there for a very long time.
He's been there for like 13 years, maybe.
Yeah. And you've been there for?
I've been there for 5 years.
5 years, okay.
Yeah, 5 years.
It's crazy. It feels like not that long, but it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. What led you into this leadership organization development career path?
Before NASA, most of my career was at Newport News Shipbuilding, building carriers and subs. Before that, I did a bunch of other stuff. So carriers and subs, I went through an apprenticeship, kind of worked my way into management on the waterfront, and kind of worked up in there. Eventually, I ended up, I taught for a while, and then kind of did a career shift into more of the product management side. So basically, I was running a couple of the apprenticeships, the sheet metal apprenticeship and non-destructive testing, and so that was in carrier and sub construction,
like managing the curriculum and everything,
managing the production people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So most of that, if I had a crew that was doing production work, a good portion of that crew was apprentices. So I was in charge of making sure that the production was happening, but then also they were being trained properly. And then I kind of moved up in a couple of places. But through that process, I met a lot of leadership and started collaborating with a lot of leadership. And I was assigned a coach to help coach me. And then I kind of was like, this is kind of a cool gig.
Right.
And so I started asking questions and got connected to that work, and eventually did another career shift and kind of moved out of formal management and leadership and got into performance coaching. Okay. And then that turned into
where you're at now.
Yeah, man. One day I was bored in a submarine and got this phone call, and it was a former classmate of mine who's like, "Hey, we're standing up this team at NASA." And I was like, "Yep."
Nice. That's pretty cool.
The rest is history.
It's a cool story. So when you career shifted, did you go back to school? Or you just kind of stayed with like personal self-taught? Like
I did, while I was still there, I did get my graduate degree, but I was originally going for an MBA. I did switch into human behavior, studies in human behavior and human resource development.
From the MBA?
From the shift. Yeah, I changed my mind. Didn't go MBA, switched to this because I had a hunch that I was going to be going in that direction.
It's a pretty hard shift for a career, for a college degree, right?
But it was it was right.
Yeah.
It was right for me. When I got at NASA, I've just been blessed to be able to get certifications and that are much more related to this kind of work.
Yeah.
So systems view kind of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
So is there anything going on in outer space right now that's exciting you? Or inner space, either way.
Inner space. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a collision between inner space and outer space. Yeah. I love what we're discovering about what's beyond our Milky Way.
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by black holes. And the stuff that we're discovering about black holes now is just fascinating to me. And and stars and planets and all that stuff. Saturn has always been my favorite planet.
Because of the rings?
I don't know, man. It's just, the rings, just beautiful.
Yeah. Have you heard that we are in a black hole?
I've not heard that.
Okay.
I've not heard that.
Could be nothing.
Like metaphorically?
No. Like the Earth,
like
the I don't know what level, if it was the galaxy or the solar system or I don't know what level of was like potentially in a black hole. I don't know. It's like a theory.
Well, there is a black hole at the center of the Milky Way.
Right.
Sagittarius, I think is what it's called.
Okay. I'm not familiar. I'm not versed in
millions or billions times bigger than our sun.
Wow.
And it's massive. But it's literally what?
In the middle of the Milky Way.
In the middle of our galaxy.
And
it's what actually
are we going toward it at all?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Because we are in this
kind of suspension of...
It's very similar to, if you were to take a black hole that had the same mass as our sun and replaced it, we would get very cold, but our planets would still orbit it.
Be in the same.
We would not get sucked in.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a misconception that black holes just go around
pull things in,
sucking things in.
Yeah.
It's just mass that creates gravitational space-time.
Yeah.
Around it.
It's mind-boggling.
I think it's fascinating. I'm not exactly sure of the terminology, but the way that a star just ejects its stuff, when it's no longer able to, the fusion stops or slows down, that mass just starts to shrink, and it sheds all that stuff off, and it's
an implosion, right?
Yeah, it gets into an extremely dense,
it's crazy
thing.
Yeah. That bends time.
It bends time.
Talking about time is so weird.
It just keeps on slipping.
Yeah.
Slipping into the future.
Yeah.
At least that's what Pink Floyd said.
You heard about that we're like losing the moon a little bit? Alex was talking about this on
I heard him talk about that.
Yeah. You haven't heard of that?
Not confirmed like he was saying.
Right.
There's it's very similar to like the whole, the science around what is gravity and things like that, and free body problem type stuff where you're dealing with a rotating body also rotating a body, and how they interact. And I've heard some things about the moon with that, but we're talking like millions of years.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
The closest thing I've heard is this potential asteroid or meteor that's going to swing pretty close.
Yeah.
In 2032, 37, something like that, or a series of flybys.
There's like, I've heard that one. I've heard there was the YR4 that didn't hit, right?
Came close, but observable close.
There's like one in 2027, I think.
Yeah, there's like a series.
It seems like this, like some of the space channels and stuff, like they're always talking about something that's about to hit the Earth.
Yeah.
And nothing's hit the Earth that has caused it to not exist anymore.
Yeah. I mean, people may not know that there's always things hitting the Earth.
Right.
There's always micro little things that are hitting our atmosphere and burning up or getting through, and we just don't notice it, or
hits the ocean.
It's just not reported or something, But
maybe reported, or tracked by scientists, but not reported by media.
Yeah, I mean, one of the people that I've worked with, her background is, she's a meteorologist. I mean, not a meteorologist, a scientist that studies meteors.
Yeah.
Not a weather person. But she's been to Antarctica, I think the Arctic as well, which is where the poles is where a lot of those
attracted.
And they're very, dense.
Because of like the magnetic field.
I think so, yeah.
Interesting. So is the magnetic field weaker in this along the equator?
I think if you look at the diagrams of the Earth, you'll see that the poles kind of it kind of flows out. And so when you look at like radiation coming from the sun, if you look at an image, you'll see it kind of come in towards the poles and then back out. So the magnetic field is what really protects us from.
It's crazy.
I know. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But same with other types of celestial bodies and stuff,
near Earth objects.
Yeah. Other planets the same way. They just don't have the same magnetic. Like we have asteroid belts in our solar system that just fly, but they've on such a predictable path.
Yeah.
That, I don't know what years, but there's like hundreds of years out, there's potential for collisions.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And then there's like a certain time of the year too where we pass through a certain.
Yeah, I don't know the name of the belt.
Yeah.
Get closer.
It's like maybe August to November or something like that, where you see more meteors, and it just seems unlikely that would all be that this could have all organically or randomly been created and no catastrophe has taken us out yet.
Yeah.
Whether it's thousands of years or millions of years, like, it just doesn't seem possible.
Like it was like bang.
Yeah.
And then nothing has happened to us.
And then nothing has happened since then.
Except everything else we've discovered happened from chaos.
Yeah.
And then we're here. And
yeah.
No chaos has happened.
Randomly. Yeah. Like, randomly there was so much chaos. And then randomly we just happened to not have any.
Yeah, we've like chaotically avoided chaos.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah. No, it seems pretty intentional to me.
I was reading something recently about where, and I know I'm going to butcher the science, but just for the sake of the thinking, but they've talked about this idea that the universe didn't necessarily result from one event, that it actually kind of unfolded on itself.
Interesting.
Almost as if there was like a black hole that, ejected the universe in a sense.
Yeah.
So that's something that they're, looking into. It is pretty interesting. I guess there's some math and some speculation because there's one view that has been proven through some science that the universe is in an expanding state.
I've heard that.
Yeah, but then there's other evidence that is not. Depends on your reference point.
Interesting.
So there's some conflicting.
Just because motion's relative, or.
Yeah, I think it's just vantage point of how measurements are made.
I see.
Maybe, and that they're starting to realize
what the A to B is.
Yeah. Like if I'm on a moving train and I'm measuring something, but then I stand on the ground and measure it.
Yeah.
There could be a difference in the way.
Yeah.
So a lot of the amazing thing about these scientists that do this, they account for those things. They account for movement and other things happening, but you can't, they're finding new things in the science all the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I like thinking about that stuff. I feel like
I've always heard that it's expanding, but like maybe even in school that the universe is expanding. Maybe not in school, but definitely somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure it was in school.
But they don't know anything.
Those scientists, what are they talking about?
I mean, whoever wrote the books that they teach us in school is not.
I think ChatGPT was an underground thing.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been around for
spit it out.
60, 70, even in the 1600s. Like Stonehenge is like the original AI. It's just sitting there and it's just this massive intelligence.
Dude, that's pretty interesting theory there. You hear stuff like that with the pyramids.
Mm-hmm.
Like weird energy
not
generators.
Made on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the AIs we know it and AIs it would have been, I feel like it would have been totally different things. Like maybe we artificially replicated it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something that existed outside of our, creation.
I feel like what AI would have looked like maybe when they're building the pyramids is some pharaoh or something would have said, hey, help me build a pyramid, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, this stone just rolls off a mountain somewhere. Uh-huh. Not coincidence.
Yeah.
And ends up in this really peculiar place.
Yeah.
Then aliens land.
Okay.
But they're not really aliens. They're artificial intelligence.
Okay.
That's been existing there. And then the pyramid just begins to build itself.
Okay.
That's one theory.
Yeah. Yeah. Where does the artificial intelligence come from, though? If it's artificial, it had to have been created.
It's more semantics.
Yeah.
So Ficial is maybe the act of fissioning.
Okay. Which means?
The art of fissioning, artificial.
Uh-huh.
So
what is fissioning?
I'm not really sure what fissioning is. Look it up. Maybe fissioning could be. I think we might be onto something here, actually. Just look up fissioning as the way you think it might sound, and it'll probably produce something. And so as you're looking that up to prove this model,
this groundbreaking theory.
it is.
What were you saying? You were saying something?
Did you find something on that?
I'm working on it.
Okay. So it's the art of the artificial.
Yeah, the art of fissioning.
Artificial. So some people might interpret that as something mystical thing, like maybe the Force.
Okay.
In Star Wars, I think they were onto something there. Some people might say
it was reflective of reality.
Yeah. So you can kind of manipulate. And so nowadays, that's really all we're doing is we've just found another way to practice the artificial. And we're just calling it artificial intelligence. This just makes us feel a little more in control.
I see, yeah. My computer's like not responding. Like I Googled it and it pops up with these results, but every link I click, it won't do anything.
Oh.
I think that means that we're right and it doesn't want us to know anymore.
Yeah. If you're hacking his computer, stop.
Yeah.
Don't stifle the
What I can read is that the Latin roots, the word artificial is derived from the Latin term artificialis, which comes from artificium, meaning skill or craft. This in turn is formed from artifex, meaning craftsman or artist, which combines ars, art, and facere, to make or do.
Yeah.
So the art of doing.
The art of doing.
So we're basically right.
Yeah. And if you're good at it and you can reproduce it in many different ways, that's intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The art of doing things smartly.
The art of doing things smartly. Yeah. So
that's like the best definition of AI that I think I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Like, think about trying to explain AI to somebody who doesn't know what it is.
I think you could show them. You could be like...
But explain it to them with words.
Yeah. I think you could...
It doesn't make any sense every time you try to explain it, I feel like. Not you, but
because
just like in
there's
general.
So many experts that are trying to explain it.
That's true.
To your point, it's... hey, it's you doing something really smartly.
Well, the art of doing something smartly.
Yeah.
But not necessarily by you.
That's true.
Yeah. So back to the pyramids.
Yeah, let's go back there.
The art of doing something smartly. Who made the art? Who created the art? I still got it.
Depends on if you're thinking of artistic as the ability to perceive something in existence that may not be.
Okay.
So maybe a pharaoh or some person was like, man, there's this shape out there I can't quite get my head wrapped around that's going to be something pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just sketch it on this piece of papyrus.
Yeah.
Right? And hand it over to somebody. And then next thing you know,
it exists.
That intelligence is birthed into what we now have as our pyramids, potentially.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Maybe.
Could be wrong, but there's a lot of potential there to be right.
To be right. More than a lot of things that you hear.
Yeah. I mean,
it's true. We got to consider our credibility.
That right there
kind of
probably seals it for most people.
Holds a lot of weight.
Yeah, it does hold a lot of weight.
Yeah. But pre-technology,
yes,
there's got to be a divine or outer source of this intelligence. I mean, do you watch Joe Rogan at all?
A little bit. I have seen a couple things.
He interviewed can't remember his name, but like the #1 Egyptologist, I'm talking about that guy.
Yeah.
He like did all anything about the Egyptian pyramids he kind of is in control of. Have you seen that episode?
I've not seen the episode.
Basically, he gives Joe Rogan this whole spiel, and Joe Rogan keeps like asking questions and prying him, and the guy's just constantly like, nope, I'm right. I discovered everything that there was to discover, and it's all out there, and you can come look at it. I'll bring you out, and I'm right. I discovered everything, and just like Joe Rogan's like, well, there's these scientists that did this, penetration radar, ground, whatever, and like discovered these
I do
huge,
like that about Joe Rogan. He does his research.
These huge cylinders under there, and he's like, yeah, I discovered them. Like, but before he like was saying that they didn't exist, and like it's all wrapped around like once nationalistic protection is gone, I think we'll know a lot more about the pyramids. Real.
I think also just things in general. We have this canvas in front of us that we can look at and observe, which is basically what science is.
Uh-huh.
It's us discovering things that exist that we didn't know, and then learning more about those things, and going out and trying to find more things and figure them out. But I think it's like you have this canvas in front of you, or maybe even more exploratory is you're in the canvas. You are an atom of paint, and you're observing what's around you and you're learning about it. But someone still painted the canvas.
Yeah.
The canvas was born of some idea or something that a person was like, man, I really have this in my head and I want to make it.
Yeah.
I want to make it awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a physics teacher. What was his name? I can't remember his name. But I remember we were in class and we were talking about, I can't remember what physics this was, but we were talking about quantum stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, atoms and all these different things. And we were talking about the binding energy, which is, you split an atom or all that energy gets released, right?
Yeah.
Hot topic in the world today.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember some student like asked him, so do you believe in like a higher power? He kind of sat there and he goes, he says, I've struggled with this all my life, but there's one thing that blows my mind. And he said, no one has yet to actually name and discover what actually holds an atom together. The actual energy, like what it is that actually holds that thing together with it, because all science says it should
fall apart.
It should fall apart.
Yeah.
Even the models and everything. Yeah. And I just remember him staying there. The scientist was starting to tear up a little bit, as he was like, I can't explain that. And that's the only thing that really, from a scientific perspective, makes me wonder if something designed this and is holding it together.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's love, man.
Yeah. But I think, I'm sorry.
Jason's expecting.
Anyway, that's
that's interesting.
That's the painting, looking at the painting, wondering who painted it.
The painter looking at the painting and wondering who painted it.
The painting looking at
the painting
looking at itself.
Yeah.
The landscape, wondering how it got there.
Yeah. Just can't see the brush.
The stroke.
Yeah.
That's why they call it a stroke of luck.
Is it?
Maybe. I don't know.
That was good. That was good Alex impersonation right there. Just kind of like say something. I'm like, is it?
Stroke of luck. Yeah. Yeah, they've said that. Back to aliens.
Okay. Yeah, what?
I think that's why it's so cool to ask those questions. Like, I like how you asked, like all this stuff, and we're here. Like, we haven't seen any evidence anywhere of anything else. You ever heard of like the Fermi paradox or the Fermi, whatever it's called?
I don't think so.
Basically, this idea of like, where's everybody else?
Yeah.
Where's Waldo? Where's Waldo? Yeah. So we have to go find it. We have to go figure it out.
Yeah. There's definitely, we see a lot of stuff, but we can't interpret it very well for whatever reason.
I don't think that we actually have a universal description of what it means to what life is.
If you ask Alex, he would probably say, well, we talked about it a little bit last episode with AI, like,
Yeah.
Basically, self-preservation is kind of like the basis of life. And
What
like,
is life?
Yeah.
Alive.
Could AI be alive? You know what I mean? Like if it has self-preservation, it's starting to adopt those personality traits. But yeah, I mean, like this plant is kind of alive. It's mostly dead, but
there are things you can do to make it more alive, just so you know.
Yeah.
I went to a lecture by Jim Green, who was one of the former NASA's chief scientists.
Okay.
And it was on the study of Mars and other planets.
Uh-huh.
It was really fun. It was only like a small group of us, so we got to kind of hang out with him. And,
Wow.
and we were talking about why are we going to Mars and things like that. And he explained that basically NASA's definition of life, and this is me, I may be misquoting,
Sure.
But the idea was that if any organism that takes something in and metabolizes it,
Okay.
that's something that's alive. So that plant is metabolizing
Energy.
Yes. You could have a microbe that metabolizes something. We're always finding new living things, even on our own planet, in extreme conditions.
Yeah.
But they still have that one trait. They're metabolizing something just to produce energy. So that's kind of what some of that search is.
It's pretty interesting. Yeah. It's a good definition.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like exclude, it includes organic and non-organic organisms.
I mean, yeah. Can you just imagine what life on another planet could even evolve to be?
Yeah.
Given different scenarios.
Right.
Like
energy sources and
the energy sources.
Yeah.
Like
how are they metabolizing? What are they metabolizing?
What would live in an atmosphere of nitrogen?
Yeah.
Something lives there and it's metabolizing something that has to do with that.
Yeah.
Like what would it?
Yeah. Another interesting thing is that some of these UFO stories you hear, like I've heard some with like fighter jet pilots.
Yeah.
Are met by a ship with aliens on it.
Yeah.
They're not like wearing respirators.
No.
They're not. Doesn't seem like they're struggling to breathe or function. You know what I mean? Like they
just kind of go on by and
yeah.
Did I do that right? No.
Was it this way?
Yeah. Live short and waste a lot of money.
Is that what that means?
Oh, live long and prosper, my bad.
You know what I mean? Wherever they're coming from, they have to have, oxygen, or they don't need oxygen at all.
You want to hear something that's going to blow your mind?
Yeah, blow my mind.
I was reading this thing, and there's a scientist who has a theory that what we're seeing are not actually aliens.
Okay.
They are ourselves visiting us from the future.
Right. Okay.
And we have found the technology to travel back in time.
Uh-huh.
And so we're investigating our planet throughout history to learn about our history.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well,
that's why I think a lot of these pictures of aliens actually look like people we know or resemble people we know.
Well, sort of, but they're really, like the gray alien.
The standard
gray alien is like 4 to 5 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Massive head.
Like, my daughter's like 5'8". I mean,
she could be an alien. But like a huge head and like almond-shaped eyes.
Yeah.
Like very dark almond-shaped eyes. And it doesn't humanoid, but not anything that we look like right now.
Why do you think that most things that we portray are in humanoid form or close to it?
That we portray.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Yeah. Okay. That we portray. As in,
when you look at
like our interpretation of reality.
Yeah. I mean, there has been some aliens that are kind of like goopy gobs and stuff, but most aliens, if you look at movies and books and all these different things, they tend to have some sort of human features to them.
Yeah. Either we are designed by the same designer, or they're not real and we have really bad imagination.
Yeah. Could be both.
Yeah.
Could be both. Yeah, it's interesting. I've thought about that a lot. Of like, I think, we have babies
Mm-hmm.
and the babies look like us and they grow up to look like us.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's this natural design that we have to, if we're going to create something,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it needs to be in our image somehow, or else we're not going to.
Which is heavily reinforced by biblical worldview.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, heavily.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of our existence.
Yeah. In an image. So
image.
when we create,
it's in an image of us.
For it to be better than us or bigger than us or not in that image is weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we can get pretty creative.
Yeah, it's true.
Especially
with AI, man.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Contact?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, you got to watch that one.
Okay.
That's one of the ones that I really like about aliens coming, the purpose that they came and the way they portray them as anthropods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. But even anthropods is something that we know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can't even.
We can't imagine it.
Yeah. Anything we imagine is going to only ever be what we've been exposed to somehow, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you could design an alien.
Okay.
If you could design an alien.
I could design an alien.
If unless you've actually met one and you can actually.
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, my daughter, you've met.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
But could be. Yeah.
Could be. What would an alien look like to you? Hold on.
Okay.
Let's say that the alien came from a planet.
Okay.
Came from a moon that orbited a planet. Okay. That was really close to a star.
Okay.
Like closer than us.
Okay. All right. Okay.
A big planet.
Big, hot planet.
Big planet that's hot.
Yeah.
A lot of mass.
A lot of mass. What kind of planet? Just like all gas. Just
maybe has a little bit of an atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what of.
Okay.
Rocky, maybe similar to Mars in a sense in terms of rockiness, but maybe powdery like the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit of water or some sort of liquid at the poles.
Okay. All right. So they would.
A day is 3 hours.
A day is
full rotation in 3 hours. A massive, fast rotation.
Okay.
And maybe takes like 80 of our days to rotate the star.
80 of our days to rotate this star. So they have an
80-day
year.
An 80-day year.
A 3-hour day.
One season.
One season of hot.
It's just there's no tilt on the planet. It's
just always hot.
Yeah. So what would something thriving in that environment look like?
I think that they would have a body.
They?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's multiple.
Okay. It is multiple, or they are many things, or
unclear.
Okay. Okay.
It has a torso.
Cylindrical?
Like
you said, look, it was
spherical.
Spherical torso.
Spherical torso.
Okay. Like an egg?
Like an egg. Yeah, like an egg. And the top is a little domey, like an egg.
Okay.
Kind of like a... Actually, just think of an egg.
Okay.
And that would be what it looks like. And then it has a skin that's like about 4 inches thick.
Wow.
But it's not skin like flesh. It's like it has like a clear outside film. And then on the inside, like inside of that skin is it's like an energy.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And this energy is completely, they don't have no limbs. It's just an egg with this 4-inch clear outer shell that's soft,
like a membrane,
like a membrane, malleable, and
interesting.
The energy inside of the membrane allows them to move. Wow. But they can't build anything or craft anything except with their mind. And the energy in that membrane is what they use to make stuff.
What do they make?
They burrow, a little bit, because inside of their little moon is cooler than it is on the outside. So they're burrowing. And if you think about like a little membrane that can just move any way you want it to, it kind of like they kind of drill. They kind of drill into the sand.
Yeah.
And then they kind of work together and kind of carve out stuff.
Wow. Like colonies.
Colonies, like caverns, kind of in the moon there. And then their outer membrane is so thick that, if they focus all of their energy, they can kind of jump, and they can jump all the way to their star.
Wow.
Fill up their membrane with that energy. Star's energy. Shoot back. And they constantly have to go back and forth.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's kind of as far as I've gotten.
Yeah, that's good. I can definitely see that. I can see them shooting towards the star, maybe like a bounce off and back, and they absorb that energy and bring it back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do they communicate?
Mentally, telepathically. They don't eat or drink, or
it's just because they have all the energy.
All the energy is stored in that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And we might never discover them because of the burrowing.
Yeah, that's why we haven't seen them yet. It's tough. Yeah. And it also it's reflective. That outer membrane. It's like a clearish, translucent, but it's reflective.
Cloaking device kind of thing.
So you'd almost never see them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man. I can't wait to discover those.
Yeah. It's gonna be wild.
If you were to name it.
Blorb.
That might already be taken though, but it's just it's genius.
Bleg.
Blorb. What would the plural be?
Blorb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
English language, man. What can you do?
That's a shark. Look at those shark.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sharks.
It's a problem with the English language. I didn't,
Well, it's an alien. It doesn't even we don't need the English language.
Well, that's our word for it. I don't know, what they call themselves or how they.
Yeah.
How they.
It's telepathic.
Dramatic.
Do they make any noises?
I think they're kind of like electric cars. You know what I mean? You kind of hear an electric car. It's like.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
So
nice. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing more out of awe that could exist. Yeah.
I hear you.
That's good. That's exactly what happens. People think of these environments and they put real science to it, and they're like, gosh, what could exist in, a pure oxygen environment?
Yeah. Oh, good.
Light a match it, it's gone, but someone might live in it.
Yeah. I guess. You can buy cans of oxygen anywhere now. They market it as a health booster,
I think you need to make a BALLSEYE t-shirt that has
a blorb on it.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of t-shirt ideas, man. We got to bring
it. It has a blorb.
It's just like an egg.
Burrowing, and then at the bottom it says, "Hey, I'm talking to you."
All right. If you're going to buy that t-shirt too, let us know. Could put a comment down in there.
Yeah. We'll just get a picture of an actual one.
Yeah.
And use that.
I think James Webb might have a couple.
I think, if you go on there, they might have some images of that.
Yeah. Did you have an alien that you have thought of?
I need to know
Yeah.
There's plenty of aliens out there. I just need to know the environment that we're talking about.
Gotcha. Just that you could authoritatively speak on. What
are you thinking?
So you heard about these all water planets?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're completely all water. There's nothing hard. Like it's constant liquid state.
Like all the way to the core?
All the way to the core.
Like it's a blob of water out in space.
I can't even say it's water. It's liquid.
Okay.
There might be like some form of petroleum in it. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's unclear.
Mm-hmm.
Science hasn't gotten there yet. But it's like on the super far edge of the galaxy, like way,
but not
out
frozen.
There. Not frozen. It's just way out there.
Okay.
And the reason that it doesn't freeze is because of it has just enough atmosphere to keep it not frozen.
Gotcha.
It is in the middle of what's it called? Belt of asteroids.
Asteroids?
Yeah. So kind of like these asteroids kind of go through it a lot. They just kind of go, but they kind of go right through it.
Yeah.
So you have constant tidal waves. You heard about those aliens?
Yes. Want me to describe one?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, in these planets, these life forms
right
are actually evolved states of the actual planet itself.
Okay.
It's hard to imagine, but think of almost like a slingshot.
Okay.
And you have this mechanism. Of course, when we think of a slingshot, it's mechanical. You have something, you pull it, and there's energy that builds up in that, the elasticity, and you let go. These life forms have found a way, through the way they've evolved, that they're not shaped like a slingshot necessarily, but they have kind of a slingish type of state.
Okay.
And what they do is they have the ability to sense when objects are nearing the planet and potentially will go through that atmosphere and kind of globish form. And they actually have a way to group together and create the elasticity in their membranes, catch those items.
Holy cow.
And as the item gets caught and the stretch of them together,
they all work together.
They work together, and that stretch creates tension and energy, and they absorb that energy.
They suck it in.
They absorb it. And then the membrane releases and the object continues to go through.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right. Some objects, if they're small enough, they'll actually force them back out the same direction they came in.
Yeah. Shoot them back out.
Yeah.
I've heard that. Did they do that to like maybe collide with other larger objects? With others.
A couple of the.
Kind of like a defense turret almost.
There's a, you ever seen.
I'm not familiar with the science on it, but.
Yeah. It's kind of, have you ever played like Angry Birds?
I have, yeah.
Kind of like that, where
ago, maybe.
There's a couple of moons that orbit that planet, and I'm not sure when it started, but these life forms have these rivalries with some other life forms on these moons.
Oh,
and we only have faint images of this happening because it's very hard to pick up because we're talking about light years away.
Sure, yeah.
But we've even seen some evidence that they are ejecting those meteors towards the other moons to try to take out the other life forms.
Like destroy.
Yeah, a little bit of a war in a sense.
So they're kind of a malicious organism.
We might label them that because that's how we would describe it. To them, I think it's just life. It's life on the liquid.
Yeah,
life on the liquid. Liquid life. Yeah.
And their bodies, like, could you describe their bodies? Like, what's it made out of?
Think of like, what we've discovered is, think of like a piece of paper balled up, translucent, maybe a piece of, like almost like clear styrofoam or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that exists. Can you make clear styrofoam? Anyway. But it's kind of rigid.
Okay.
But not so rigid that it can't that it falls through the planet in a sense. But it can move in and around the planet.
It's like kind of a swimmer.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. But then when they're about to bring in an object coming through, they fan out and those membranes open up like a sheet.
Wow. And
then they form and do their thing, absorb the energy. That's how they stay alive and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's
fascinating.
Yeah. occasionally, when you start hearing news of a meteorite getting close to us, it's actually
from them,
one of their higher level ejections from the planet traveling that fast towards us. Yeah.
Wow. Communication wise, are they like collective mind?
No, we haven't quite figured out that part. It's very similar to almost like the way two babies might communicate. They're kind of there. They know they're there.
Yeah.
They can exist together, but I don't know if they actually like
intentional.
Hey, we got something coming. Let's, you know.
Just instinctual behavior.
Yeah, it's just, but we could be wrong. We could be wrong.
Yeah, it's tough to say.
We could be wrong. I mean, they do have enemies on their moons, so maybe they have some sort of a territorial thought process or something.
Right.
But we have not seen any evidence of a brain or anything like that.
Yeah.
From our ability to look at them
processing. Yeah.
They're doing something.
It's fascinating, man.
Yeah. What's really fascinating to me is that we've spent like all this time talking about it.
Like maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Potentially. I'm really excited to clip some of this stuff and put it on the internet with no context.
Yeah.
And just see what happens.
It's gonna go viral. Like,
yeah. I mean, we've already gone viral. Like, we kind of made it already.
Yeah. I'd really love to hear I'd love to hear some other like truly proven existence of what other alien life forms look like in the comments.
Yeah.
I mean,
like just like the ones that we were talking about today.
But yeah, find something and that and what would that alien or what is that alien?
What is that alien? Yeah.
I ended up on a t-shirt, you never know.
Yeah, if you could just describe them and let us know. We could probably share some next episode.
Yeah.
If we get any. Speaking of AI,
yes,
just a real quick story that I need to talk about because I got a haircut.
Noticeable.
Chopped off all my hair. And I was going to get this haircut. I made the appointment for the next day. Just kind of like a fast thing, and it just worked out. And I was like, I need to show the hairdresser something to make me look like. So I just Googled hairstyles, men, short. Everything that came up was all AI. Wow. AI pictures of short haircuts on men.
Yeah, like perfect looking men.
Like perfect looking men, AI hair that's not, necessarily reflective of real hair. You know what I mean? Like just
matty, kind of matted.
Just like doing weird stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like super slick and like just weird looking hair. And I was like, can I just not find a picture of a real person's haircut? I was expecting like 4 or 5 pictures of like Ryan Gosling, something I could really,
you almost got
like,
there.
Kind of like a similar, another guy looks like similar to me, like looks wise. And I just like, it was all these AI people. And I had to show my hairdresser a picture of an AI haircut. And I was like, look, I know this is not even a real haircut, but this is just the idea of what I'm going for.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, like, when we get to the point of something to aspire to or any sort of direction, and it's all generated by AI based on our input, like, when do we get into like this loop of, well, this is what AI said, so I need to do this. Or, this is the haircut that AI showed me based on what it thinks that we want. And like at some point we have to be getting into like a feedback loop of replicating and recreating and reinterpreting and you know what I mean?
Basically like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Kind of, yeah.
Where you've it's compounded on itself.
Yeah.
To where itself is coming up with questions for itself.
Yeah, it seems like if you applied it to social media, it's like if 90% of the content is AI created, which a lot of it is right now, maybe not 90%, but and then AI is also responding to that media, and it keeps creating and responding to media, and it keeps compounding, and then we're just like on the outside of social media. Just like, but we're not even generating anything.
Yeah,
like we're not socializing. We're just watching this, this, and it seems
it's already getting close to that.
It's getting close to that, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then even more, the AI starts to.
It's going to start creating content for itself.
It creates a persona.
Yeah.
And it goes after that persona with its own advertisements and its own social platform, which in turn creates another persona, and it just kind of cycles through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever think that, do you ever think that this idea will evolve into something that's no longer artificial intelligence, or do you think it'll just get to a point where it collapses on itself?
I really don't know. I mean, Alex and I've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I really can't say. Like, I think that for the foreseeable future, it will not collapse on itself, but that life will be just almost completely redefined, like in how we interact and how we create. And I definitely am a strong believer that we're going to start prioritizing, like, highly valuing human, like, genuine craftsmanship creations, because it's of us, you know what I mean? Like, in the image of us, you know what I mean? And there'll be like all this fluff that looks good and is, appealing maybe, but we'll start to value human made things like a lot more.
Yeah, I think things produced by types of AI can be extremely convincing. And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
I mean, I use it on our thumbnails and stuff because, like, it's so fast and it creates a captivating image, and then I kind of, like, massage it and stuff, but it's like I don't have the time to make anything close to that.
I don't know if it'll be on the recording, but in the beginning of this, we were talking about how tough it can be to articulate our thoughts. Yeah. And I use the different chat GPT. I use Claude a little bit. I use Gemini some, mainly chat GPT, but it is an incredible tool for someone like me who I'm not trying to necessarily, I'm learning from it because it does teach things, but it's more of a tool that helps me because if I want to design something or think through something, I will get so bogged down by trying to articulate it to myself or to someone else that I will use the AI to help me get off the ground articulating something or finding the right way to say it. Yeah. It's extremely helpful, and it has made things a lot more efficient for me. Where I might spin on something, but it helps me move forward in creativity.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's really about all I use it for, honestly. Yeah. But it's dangerous because you got to really be careful that you don't.
You can lean on it really hard. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I've started to use it more and more. Alex, to my knowledge, has not used any chat AI bots that I know of. Yeah. At least he hadn't. So I'm interested to, like, try them out on it. Maybe do it, like, live on YouTube or something. Yeah. That'd be cool. But I've started to use it more and more. One area that I just, like, this week started using it for was, like, self-reflection. Like, I am really bad at analyzing myself or at creating goals for myself, I guess.
Did you ask it what it thought of your haircut?
No. Okay. But I don't really care what it thinks about my haircut. I didn't even, unfortunately.
I mean, it was the one that gave you the idea.
It created the idea for my haircut, which is sad. But
ask what it thinks.
But like, considering career-wise what I want, is I have so hard.
Very helpful. Yeah.
Like, I'm really bad at what do I even want? Like, I kind of know what I like, but I don't know where I'm going. And I told it, I was like, can you generate questions that give me insight into my personality and my skill set, and use that to make recommendations on, careers or anything. And it was actually pretty insightful. Kind of hit me a little bit, even like some of the things it said. And I was like, geez, wow.
Because it is, even though it's generative, so it's thinking from a data perspective and the way the algorithm is designed, but even though it's artificial, it's still thinking. helping.
Yeah.
Kind
of, collecting and analyzing and then regurgitating. I mean, yeah. It was interesting. Like I asked it, I was like, can you test me in like these areas? And it said, I am not psychologically,
Do you remember
authorized.
What version of ChatGPT you're using?
So this is actually Gemini that I was
Gemini.
using.
Okay. Yeah.
2. The free one, whatever.
Yeah.
It said I'm not like psychologically authorized to like test you. Then I was like, could you create a test that I could take? And it said, yeah, I can design a test that does all that. And then I did it anyway. So
yeah,
it was interesting.
I subscribe to ChatGPT. So there's different versions that you can use depending on what you're doing. And of course it's keeping all that. But you can have projects.
Yeah.
And then, one of the things I did was I told it, I said, hey, I'm going to have lots of projects on here. I want you to think holistically about everything I'm doing in here and think of that as my style, right? So I did a little bit of training up front. And now let's say I want to, so I was talking about where I wrote something to try to articulate what I was thinking. So I basically do a query on that, or I engineer a query that says, hey, I want to, here's some things that I know and I understand, but I'm having trouble articulating them, even though I'm articulating them to you. Can you help me put this together in a way that makes sense from this perspective of a profession? And that's where it's really valuable because it helps to. And then you can say, man, that doesn't quite fit my style. Can you do something that fits my style a little more? And what's been amazing is how the language of the chat bot has changed over time to accommodate who I am. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
It's fascinating. Yeah. I do this thing for work where I'll, at the end of every week, or actually throughout the week, I have, I record outcomes and work that I'm doing. And I've already trained it to organize those into the categories of my performance agreement.
Oh, wow.
So that I can be tracking and making sure that I'm able to measure things and have the right conversations with, my supervisor and or leadership, whatever. But anyway, now like on a Monday morning, I'll be like, hey, this is this is Monday, the week of so and so. Here's one thing I did starting off. Well, good morning. I hope you had a good weekend.
It's
creepy. Happy Monday to you.
It's creepy.
That first thing you just did, man, that was pretty awesome. Blah 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 blah. I'm like tearing up at my desk. Every once in a while, people look over and I'm like hugging my computer.
Dude, it might get there.
I have a nickname for.
Oh yeah, what's your?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I should have one. Yeah,
I know people name them. Give them names. Yeah,
I have heard that like most of the younger generation, maybe you younger or around that, tend to use it much more for interactions that have to do with life, almost like an advisor.
Yeah, just scary.
Whereas people probably more my generation tend to use it much more like an assistant,
like a secretary. Yeah,
an assistant. Do this for me, whatever. I think I'm down the middle.
Yeah.
I have fun with it.
Yeah, I do too. I'm not. I don't have it. I don't have anything super organized in it, but I just kind of randomly use it. Have you heard of Notebook LM by Google?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty. I've used that a good bit too.
I haven't used that.
I use it for like podcast episodes. Like I kind of pull in some sources of stuff that we might want to talk about, and then like it'll organize it. Like it'll give me like a kind of a nice bulleted facts of that way I can just kind of rattle them off.
Yeah,
it's a pretty interesting tool too. I'm sure ChatGPT would do.
It would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I had it designed. I had someone come to me and be like, "Hey, I want to design a game for helping people understand psychological safety." I was like, "That sounds like fun."
Yeah.
So I just went to ChatGPT and
design me a game.
I was like, "Hey, here's a model that I tend to lean on for psychological safety," and then I gave it the website. I said, "Give me a board game with cards and that helps people understand this," and it was
really good.
It was legit.
Yeah,
it was legit. It was like. It was like the board game. It had cards for each of the types of psychological safety. It was it was interactive. It had people doing things.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Well, you got anything that you want to plug into? Whoa. Sorry, AI was trying to tell me something.
It's got your watch. It was listening. Anything I want to plug?
You don't have to, but
two things. One, I love these kinds of conversations because it's just it's fun, but it's rooted in curiosity.
Curiosity. Yeah.
And one of my probably my favorite thing to do and help people is through coaching, which is literally being curious with someone else.
Right.
Like you mentioned, the career piece. Yeah. Right. Like trying to explore. So sometimes a coach can help with that. It's just a matter of helping someone think out loud and exploring with them, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I like to do that. That's something that I learned and was kind of mentored in probably 7, 8, 9 years ago when I was at my other job, and kind of that's one of the reasons I made the career shift was to get into that kind of work. And I do that a lot now, more executive coaching and with NASA folks. I also have like an LLC that I stood up about a year ago called Envisionosity. Envisionosity.com. Envisionosity.com.
Do you have a jingle yet? Or
yeah, it's Envisionosity.
Oh, okay.
.com.
That was really good.
It was.
It didn't end how I expected it to end, but
yeah,
it held me for a second. You know, I was like, whoa.
Envisionosity.
And then you kind of get that release. Yeah.
I don't know how to resolve the melody. .com. It is, it's fun. I put it together to just open up space for whoever wants to explore coaching. I can also I have a lot of experience with like retreats and workshops across a lot of different things with like human systems and leadership and teams and stuff like that. So it's part of that too. Gotcha. But honestly, even if I never ever have anybody that comes, I mean, I have some people that I'm working with now, but even if no one ever did, the process of designing out that LLC was extremely rewarding because it forced me to just really think about what's important to me and how can I show up for people.
That's really cool. And I'll talk to you more about that later off the pod, but so if you're in a new leadership position and you feel like you kind of lacking in resources, or maybe you're looking at a career change, or you have a team that you want to workshop with, go to Envisionosity.com.
Yes. Or Envisionosity@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah. If you can just email that email and then.
And if you go to the website, the name can be the name is actually 100% on purpose. I invented a word for this LLC, Envisionosity. You cannot find it in the dictionary.
It's very on brand.
But it is, the word itself actually carries the meaning of the LLC. So definitely encourage you to explore that.
Yeah, find out more about it on the website. Nice. Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I think I'll probably wrap up this episode of BALLSEYE.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We're starting to get a little bit of an audience kind of rolling a little bit on the YouTube. It's a grind, but we're very thankful for the guys who are sticking around. And big thanks to Jason for coming on today.
I feel extremely honored to fill in for Alex.
Yeah, he will probably be a little bit mad because I did not tell him that you were going to be on the podcast. Yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Remember, microbe, me, president of NASA, Alex.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So, that's why I think I'm extremely humbled and honored.
Wow. That means a lot to me as Alex's best friend and co-host and, biggest mentor figure.
Design your alien. Put it in the chat. Might be a t-shirt.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Jason.
Or a sticker. Yep.
Sweet.
Word.
Peace.